Well, hi and welcome. This is Kevin Leipzig, host of Contractor TV. Contractor TV is focused on providing content to help contractors start, grow, and manage a successful construction business. We are sponsored by the Contractors Resource Center, which specializes in providing legal, financial, and insurance services for contractors. Today, we have John Papalardo from the Bond Exchange. Howdy, John. How are you?
How are you doing?
Great, great. John
Wonderful.
is an expert in all things bonds. And today we're going to talk a little bit about LLC, employee worker bonds, and specifically, what is a contractor LLC, employee worker bond? Before we jump into that, John, again, welcome. Appreciate you carving out time. Tell us just briefly a little bit about yourself and the bond exchange and a little bit about how you got into the bond business.
Yeah, I got into it 2013, first job out of school, and I've been doing it ever since. Specifically worked on the, California contractor bonds, LLC bonds,
Yeah.
all this time. And only recently have I branched out beyond just these, California bonds, which is pretty exciting. There's only so much you can do with the California bond.
Right,
But there's a
right.
lot of depth here and there's a lot of information to understand. So it's a pleasure getting some time out with you, Kevin, to kind of speak about these things.
Perfect. Yeah, a little bit of confusion. I know as the owner of the Contractors Resource Center, our core businesses, again, we do the legal, financial, but most of our business is really insurance and bond related for contractors. And there's quite a bit of confusion over what is this bond? Why do I need it? What does it cost? And I thought I wanted to have an expert on to kind of answer those basic questions and make this video a resource for contractors. So again, appreciate the time. For those that are interested about what a contractor bond is, specifically, John and I recorded a separate video on the contractor bond itself. So you can look on this channel and find information on what a contractor bond is. But for today, we're going to talk about the LLC, employee worker bond. John, how would you explain in layman's terms what is an LLC, employee worker bond? Why is it required? And really, what is that bond for?
Yeah. I mean, I could take it to layman's terms. This is like in the
Yeah,
other
but keep
video I
it
explained,
simple. Yeah.
for a contractor, it is really you if you are an LLC in California, you simply just need $100,000 employee worker bond. If you're any other type of entity setup, sole ownership, corporation, S corporation, partnership, you only need a one $25,000 contractor license bond. Unless you need a bond of qualifying individual, that's a whole different thing.
Right,
But
right.
the second you have an LLC and you're applying to become an LLC, they require you to get $100,000 bond on top of the $25,000 bond. So it's quite a large amount. For bonding. So with that, the bonding company is going to charge some premium for that. So it's always a kind of a sticker shock for contractors coming in saying, yeah, I had someone recommend me to become a, LLC. I think this is a good idea. Like, did you understand that you're going to need an additional bond to go with this
Mm-hmm.
as well? I
Mm-hmm.
hope, that corporate veil and the tax, incentives are worth it for you.
Right,
So
right. Yeah, typically they're getting, legal counsel, tax, advice where some professional is recommending the structure of the business to be formed as a limited liability company, right? And so when that entity applies for a license, specifically in California, as you mentioned, that bond is required along with the other standard contractor bond. So that $100,000, I don't want people to be concerned that, oh, do I have to pay the 100,000? Explain what that $100,000 is there for. What is that 100,000?
yeah, so essentially what California did is, well, they actually didn't allow contractors to form an LLC and be a licensed contract with an LLC because they were concerned with employees getting paid their wages because LLC could dissolve and then employees were just not paid. So that was a big
Mm,
concern. So California came in and said, okay, we'll allow LLCs to be licensed, but we want this bond just to ensure that that employees' wages are paid in the event that an LLC dissolves. So that's kind of the crux of why they required this. And this is not generally not a long lasting bond. They haven't had it around for a long time. It's only since about, I believe, 2012 that they've had this requirement and allowed LLCs to be contractors.
Okay, so it's almost like insurance for those employees if that contractor disappears, or the owner of the business disappears, or there's a payroll dispute, then that bond, that $100,000, is available for the employees to go and tap into to file a claim with the CSLB and attempt to collect those funds.
That's correct. You're astute.
Okay, I'm learning. I'm learning. So a lot of times when we work with contractors, they're new, they've been recommended by a professional tax person or an attorney to form that LLC. And then when we're speaking to them about getting their contractor bond and their LLC bond, help us understand a little bit about, well, why is that really required if that new contractor doesn't even plan to have employees, especially being brand new? They may not have employees for 6 months or a year, but the state still requires that LLC bond to be in place to be able to issue a license. So again, just confirm for those that are watching that that's also required if they don't have employees, correct?
Correct. I think it's kind of in line with the CSOB is working to require everyone to have workers' comp. Um, there's no
A
better way to
whole
say
nother
this other
topic on
than,
that. Yeah, yeah,
well, I think the state's reasoning is that they just don't believe you. You say you don't have employees, they're like, well,
yeah,
you probably do. It's hard to contract as a single person that's not just a handyman. So, they kind of just have that blanket requirement, just assuming, at some point you're going to have some employees. So
yeah, yeah.
if you're an
Fair
LLC, you
enough.
can't get around it.
The real world answer there, right? We don't
Yeah.
believe you. You're going to have this bond.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
A couple
Um,
bad actors ruined it for everyone.
right. So we know the contractor bond, the California contractor bond, the one that's required for everyone to be licensed. That cost of those bonds are based on credit. What about an LLC bond? So when a contractor needs a employee worker LLC bond, um, how is that cost determined?
Yeah, when those first came out, sureties didn't know what to do or what the risk inherently was, so they kind of just underwrote it the same. Underwriting is just how do they determine the price. So they just looked at credit as well, and pretty much everyone was going out saying $2,000 if you're approved. Now they're getting a little bit more nuanced in the underwriting, so they'll ask you to show some business financials if you can. They just want to see what your, cash on hand is versus your average monthly payroll.
Hmm,
And that ratio between those two things and credit will determine the rate for you,
okay.
which is really nice. So, you have an opportunity to then go below what the standard rate was, which is $2,000, to kind of go down pretty low to like $1,000 or $1,200, depending on what that ratio is of your cash versus monthly payroll and your credit. So there's some opportunities to save some money nowadays on this bond.
Got it. So they're really looking at, the ability to pay, right? Should there be a claim? It sounds like the ability to
Exactly.
pay if somebody exercises um, files a complaint, says that we need to get paid, and that $100,000 is available. How do people, tell us a little bit about, suggestions or tips on shopping for bonds, and where do people get LLC employee worker bonds?
I mean, there's a couple different ways. I mean, I know on this side of things, Bond Exchange is a wholesale broker, so we work with you, Kevin, and other agents that are going out there and marketing these bonds, to better serve the community. So we're not on that side, but I used to be on the agency side of things, and what you'll see
Yeah,
out there is you'll have a bunch of these surety agents, fairing your business, sending out some mail to you. There's a few out there that are doing a really good job online. So you can just Google search it. Um, you'll see a couple great companies up there that you can shop on, and I mean, definitely take your time. The cream rises to the top. Um, I guess it makes sense on an SEO purpose too when you look at the rankings of the page. So you'll see a
yeah,
lot of good companies out there, and they're faring
yeah,
for your business. So
yeah.
you'll
And
receive a mail marketing piece.
And a little heads up on, we both know there is a ton of fraud, especially the last couple of years. Not necessarily as much online, but we're seeing it with the mailings. We get a lot of calls of somebody says, I got something in the mail for, $19 for my bond or $100 for my LLC bond. So just a heads up for those watching, be careful looking at mailers, even on SEO, even not looking at the website. Make sure you're validating a license and do a little due diligence before you get out your credit card. There is a ton of fraud out there. I personally know I've served on an insurance committee for the Building Industry Association and the National Association of Remodelers, and being involved in those groups on the insurance side, we were exposed to how much fraud there is out there, both on the insurance side and the bond side. So just a little heads up on that. John, anything else we're missing on LLC bonds that people should know about?
For everyone that makes it to the back end of the video, I'll give them the secret sauce. If you're just starting out, you're looking between an LLC and an S corporation and what the tax benefits are, factor in that cost of the bond as well. Because if you're looking at a minimum $1,000, does that outweigh the benefit of an LLC? Is that outweighing an S corp, by
Great
$1,000+
advice.
dollars?
Yeah, make sure you
Yeah.
know what you're
So
getting into.
yeah, well, as a surety provider, it's fun for us. It's good. We'd like to provide more bonds to you, but if I was starting my own business, S corporation is a pretty good way to go to get a lot of the benefits of an LLC without having to pony up for that bond as well. But if it's worth it to you, hey, we provide the bond for a low cost
Yep. Yep.
and easily so.
There you go. And if you ever need, for those or scratching their head thinking, well, maybe I don't need this bond. One of the other services we provide at the Contractors Resource Center, besides bonds and insurance, is we have legal resources that we provide for free for our clients. So if you want a second opinion and understand, should we really do this LLC bond, or any type of legal issue around bonds or insurance, we'd be happy to help. We'll have our contact information up above. You can contact me directly at any time. Happy to help. John, I know I've got you on speed dial here, so appreciate you being a resource. If there's ever a question we can't answer on bonds, appreciate you making the time today on the video, and enjoy the rest of the week. Appreciate it, John. Thank you so much.
Oh, and just
Oh,
one last message for everyone too. I mean,
yes.
Kevin's the guy. I mean, if you're going to go to someone for a bond, that you want to go to someone that actually cares about you. And I could tell you from talking with Kevin, he really does care. So that goes a long way. So, Kevin, I got to say, I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate you. I appreciate what you do for everyone. The time you take to, provide this information free to the contractors looking for it. So, good
Appreciate it.
guy, Kevin.
Now we've made an infomercial, but I appreciate that. The goal is we want to help and educate, right? Both of us just want to help and educate people and make sure they make informed decisions and hopefully save money during the process, right? So, John,
Exactly. We're here to help the
thank
community.
got it. Thank you for the compliments. Appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of the week. Thanks, John.
You too, Kevin. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Bye-bye.